Hey everybody, this is Hyperion here, and I'm going to be making a new video here for the Demon Hunter, a new skill and gear guide. This build that I'm going to be going over is the Meticulous Bolts Lightning build for the Demon Hunter. It's currently the most powerful Demon Hunter build out there. It's what people are using to hit like Greater Rift 45 and above. I think the other day somebody even hit Greater Rift 49 solo on the Demon Hunter. So it's a very powerful gear, but there's a very, very steep gear requirement for it, and also it takes a good bit of skill to get used to how to run it. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up that it's pretty difficult to actually get up and running. But once you do, it's really fun build and pretty powerful. But because it's so gear dependent, if you don't have every single item that I'm going to go over, don't even try to run it until you get everything. Um, so, anyways, I'll get into it and just keep in mind that everything here that I'm going to go over is 100% required. So first off, because again it's a Sentry build, you need the full Marauders set. I'm using the 5 pieces here with the Ring of Royal Grandeur. Those, again, just completely required. Just briefly go over some of the roles that you're looking for on these. Um, oh, another thing I should mention, just kind of in the intro here, is this build is for end game Greater Rifts. I personally wouldn't even try using it on anything below a Greater Rift, probably 40, maybe 38. Anything below that, and this build isn't really going to work properly, and it's not going to be worth running. You'd be better off running with the normal Marauders Sentry build. So, anyways, the rolls that you're looking for on your items. First off, on your shoulders, you want dexterity, vitality, cooldown reduction, and sentry damage. Those are pretty much a must-have. On your helmet, dexterity, crit chance, and elemental arrow damage. My helm isn't very good right now. It's the best I could find, but I'm still farming for a better one with higher crit chance. But those are the rolls that you really need on it. On your boots, you want elemental arrow damage, and on your chest, you want sentry damage. Now, for the absolutely required items, you need Tasker and Theos. Um, whatever whatever rolls you can get on Tasker and Theos, in order to get this build working, you absolutely have to have them. And the higher attack speed on the secondary, mine is 49. The higher you can get that, the better. The max is 50, so those are a decent pair that I've got there. You absolutely have to have a Witching Hour. You have to have Steady Strikers or Lacuni Prowlers for bracers. You have to have a Hell Trapper, one-handed crossbow, and you have to have the Meticulous Bolts quiver. The Hell Trapper is actually pretty easy to get because it's a cache-specific drop from the Act 5 bounties. So if you want to get it, you just go and farm your Act 5 bounties on T6, and you'll get one pretty fast. And with that in mind, it's actually fairly easy to get a decent Hell Trapper. Um, the Meticulous Bolts, the rolls you're looking for on it, you need high attack speed. Like probably 18 to 20% attack speed you have to have on it. You need critical hit chance, and you need to have elemental arrow damage or sentry damage on it, either one. And then also that secondary, the elemental arrow ball lightning, now travels at 37% speed. The lower that is, the better. So mine's kind of high, which is unfortunate. I'm still working on getting a better one. Something like, anything below 35 would be better, would be preferable. 30 would obviously be perfect. Anyways, this is a lightning build, so your bracers, you're going to want to have lightning damage on them. And if you've got an amulet that you can put lightning damage on, you want that as well. Anyways, those are the gear requirements. I'll go over the skill requirements here, and then I'll actually explain to you how this build works. It's a little bit intricate, so I'll just go over the skills real quick and then kind of explain how it all works together. Um, you want Smokescreen with Lingering Fog. You want Preparation with Focused Mind. You want Marked for Death Mortal Enemy. Your Wolf Companion. You want Elemental Arrow Ball Lightning. And you want Sentry with Polar Station if you're running solo, or if you're running in a group that has like a Cold Demon Hunter, then you can switch to Spitfire Turret. But otherwise, you're going to want to run with the Polar Station for the slow effect. Your passives, you absolutely have to have Night Stalker. Awareness is a must if you've gone to the Greater Rifts. Coal of the Week is also something you're going to want. And I've got custom engineering on my amulet, so I don't run with that here. But if you don't have a Hellfire amulet, you want custom engineering here. Anyways, those are your passives that are required for this. Now I'll kind of explain how this build works. The reason that this build is so gear dependent and why I listed the items like Tasker and Theos, Witching Hour, the Steady Strikers, Lacuni Prowlers, is because in order for this build to work at all, you have to have the last Sentry breakpoint, which is 4.154 attacks per second, as your attack speed. And in order to get that, you're also going to have to use the legendary gem Gogok of Swiftness for that increased attack speed, and also for the cooldown reduction. That's also going to be really important. Again, use the Enforcer gem and the Bane of the Trap gem are the ones you're going to want to use. But anyways, this build requires you to have the last Sentry breakpoint, and basically the way it works, since you're not using the Bombardier Rucksack, it seems like you wouldn't quite have the same amount of damage, but actually using the Hell Trapper, that 8%, if you look at the secondary effect, it says you have an 8% chance on hit to summon a Spike Trap, Calotropes, or Sentry. Because you're attacking so fast and so constantly, that 8% chance to summon one of those is actually works pretty fast. You're actually going to get the Hell Trapper to drop sentries faster than your sentries are with the cooldown. Faster than you'll be able to drop them with your cooldown here. And this will drop 2 sentries, so you're actually going to still be running with 5 full sentries with this combination. And where the damage from this build comes in is if you look at the secondary effect here, it says your ball lightning travels at 37% speed, or whatever the percent your Meticulous Bolts has. And the way it works is when it travels slower, like you see here, if I take that off, you can see how fast they travel. With the Meticulous Bolts, you see they're traveling pretty slow. And what that does is as it passes through an enemy, it ticks multiple times. The damage on that ticks a couple of times. So when it's going slower, the slower it goes, the more times it's going to tick as it goes through an enemy. So that's pretty much how it works, is you're going to be trying to get that to tick as much as possible, and that's where your damage is going to come from. And the same with your sentries. If you have that last breakpoint, you're pretty much going to get a stream of your lightning bolts there. For this build, you only want one Hatred Spender, the Elemental Arrow. If you run with anything else, any other Hatred Spenders, you're going to be seriously reducing your damage. So anyways, I think the best way to actually show you how this build works is to take you somewhere and actually show you the build actually working. So I'll take you to the Field of Misery. Like I said, this build generally is only good for Greater Rifts, and you'll see here, I can't really get it to work at its full potentials with monsters with low HP. But I'll give it a try here. And you see, it kills stuff incredibly fast, but I don't even usually have time to get my full stack of Gogok of Swiftness up before I run out of before the monsters die. But anyways, your Gogok of Swiftness is going to give you cooldown reduction, and it's going to give you higher attack speed. And the reason for that you want the cooldown reduction, that high attack speed, is if you look here, once I get my full stacks up, I have pretty much I've got pretty much permanent smoke screen. I can stay in smoke screen 100% of the time, and I don't take any damage. So that's why you want to use the Gogok of Swiftness, is to give you that permanent smoke screen, and it'll actually make you pretty much immune to any damage in greater rifts. Um, so anyways, that's why you've got the Gogaka Swiftness and you're using your smoke screen. The preparation is, again, it's going to help you with your discipline generation. So when you're fighting like the rift bosses or stuff, you'll still have a decent bit of discipline, so you can spam your smoke screen. And this is actually where the Night Stalker comes in, which is critical hits have a chance to restore 1 discipline. That only works from the critical hits that you're shooting, not from your Sentry. So you have to be shooting consistently in order to get that to work. And if you're in a large mob, that'll give you unlimited discipline, which will let you, again, spam your smoke screen. The Marked for Death is for hatred regeneration. Which is going to help you be able to spam your ball lightning more, which is in turn going to restore more discipline. This build is it synergizes with itself really well, and but that's also why it's a very skill and gear dependent. Is you have to have everything working perfectly in order for it to really work well. Wolf Companion, that's just pretty typical for your damage buff. Elemental Arrow, Ball Lightning, again, pretty self-explanatory. And the Sentry, the reason you're using the Polar Station there is in order to give you that slow that you need in order to proc Cull of the Weak and the Bane of the Trapped gem. Anyways, like I said, it's kind of hard to show you guys really how the build works. In normal Torment 6, just because everything dies so fast that you can't actually see it working effectively. So anyways, later on I will run a Greater Rift and show you guys how this build works in its full potential. And you'll actually be able to see what it really does and see its full capabilities. I'll also go over Paragon points. People have been asking me to do that. For the core points, the main thing you're going to do, make sure your movement speed gets to 25%. Like down here, 25%. I've got 10 movement speed from my ferret, from the companions. And so I just need to make up 15%. I don't have any on my gear. Dump the rest of your points into dexterity. On your offense, first thing you're going to want to do is max out your cooldown reduction. That's really important for this build. And then your critical hit chance, critical hit damage, whatever you need the most, and attack speed. Or if you're low on attack speed, not quite making it up, I'd probably do cooldown reduction, max out attack speed, and then start going for crit chance and crit damage. Because that's a good place where you can make up a little bit of extra attack speed. Defense tab, I'd probably max out your life per second, then your all resist, then your life, and your armor last, because Dex now gives you armor, so you're going to have a lot of armor as is. For the utility, probably most important is going to be resource cost reduction first off, and then I'd probably do area damage, then life on hit, and gold find. Anyways, those are just briefly what I'd recommend for the Paragon point wise. Anyways, I hope you guys find this build useful. I will actually give you guys a link to a page that goes over the Sentry breakpoints a little bit, and you can figure that out. And so that you can make sure you're hitting that last break point with the attack speed. So hope you guys found the video useful. If you have any questions or I didn't quite make anything clear, please feel free to comment below and ask, and I'll try and answer your questions best I can. And hopefully in the next day or so, I'll be out with a video that actually shows this build in action, and you'll actually be able to see more clearly how it works. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I appreciate your support.